He invited his poor ex-wife to his wedding to disgrace her, but she came holding hands with her bodyguard. He left me with nothing. No house, no name, not even a seat at the table during our divorce. So when the wedding invitation arrived to his marriage with the woman he cheated with, everyone knew it wasn't kindness. It was a trap, a calculated humiliation, a chance to parade his new life in front of the woman he once called too plain to be loved, too boring to keep. His family expected me to stay away or arrive broken, but no one expected me to walk into that church wearing red, holding hands with the man who had been silently protecting me through the darkest nights of my divorce. That day, I didn't speak revenge. I looked like it. And the man who tried to destroy me learned that some women don't break. They rebuild, and they do it beautifully. Subscribe for more stories of dignity, revenge, and quiet triumph. Revenge, ex-wife, dignity, second chance, karma, bodyguard, wedding, justice. The complete story. Chapter 1. The Invitation. When cruelty comes wrapped in ivory paper. My name is Elena Harrison, or it used to be. Now it's just Elena Marsh again, the name I had before I married the man who tried to destroy me. I'm 42 years old. For 15 years, I was the wife of James Harrison, successful real estate developer, pillar of the community, beloved son of one of Boston's oldest families. I was also invisible, insignificant, and according to him, too plain to deserve a man like me. This is the story of how he invited me to his wedding to humiliate me, and how I showed him that some women don't break, they become unbreakable. The invitation arrived on a Tuesday. Thick, expensive cardstock, gold embossing, my name written in elegant calligraphy, Ms. Elena Marsh, not even the courtesy of using my married name, though the divorce had only been final for 6 months. Inside, the message was clear. Mr. James Harrison and Ms. Vanessa Whitmore request the honor of your presence at their wedding ceremony. I stared at it for a long moment, my hands shaking. James was marrying Vanessa, his assistant, the woman he'd sworn was just a colleague every time I'd questioned their late-night meetings, their business trips, the way she laughed at everything he said, the woman he'd been sleeping with for the last 3 years of our marriage, and he'd invited me to watch him marry her. My first instinct was to burn the invitation. My second was to throw it away and pretend it never arrived. But then I saw the note tucked inside, handwritten on James's personal stationery. Elena, I know this might seem unusual, but Vanessa and I both felt it was important to extend an invitation to you. You were part of my life for many years, and we harbor no ill will. We hope you can join us in celebrating new beginnings. I'm sure you'll be happy to see how well things have worked out. Best regards, James. I read it 3 times, and with each reading the message became clearer. This wasn't an olive branch. This was a victory lap. He wanted me there to see what he'd upgraded to watch him marry a woman 15 years younger, more beautiful, more successful, to remind me that I was the one who wasn't enough. He wanted to humiliate me one last time. Let me give you context. Our divorce had been brutal. James had hired the best lawyers in Boston. His family had connections, money, influence. They'd portrayed me as a gold digger who'd contributed nothing to the marriage, despite the fact that I'd given up my teaching career to support his business, host his clients, raise our daughter. Our daughter, Madison, who was now 14 and living with James because the court decided that stability and resources mattered more than the fact that her father had destroyed our family. I'd walked away from the marriage with almost nothing. A small settlement that barely covered 6 months of rent. No house. That went to James. No savings. Tied up in his business. No career. I'd been out of teaching for 12 years. I'd moved into a tiny apartment in a part of Boston I'd never lived in before. I'd taken a job at a bookstore just to pay bills. I'd gone from country club luncheons to counting pennies at the grocery store. And James had made sure everyone knew it. His mother had told mutual friends I was living in squalor. His new girlfriend, now fiancé, had posted photos on social media of the life I used to have, now hers. They wanted me erased, forgotten, reduced to a cautionary tale about what happens to women who let themselves go and don't keep their husbands interested. And now they wanted me at the wedding, not out of kindness, out of cruelty, to show me everything I'd lost, everything I'd never be again. I should have ignored the invitation. Any sane person would have. But something in me, something I didn't even know was still there, sparked to life. I was tired of being the victim in James Harrison's story, tired of being pitied, dismissed, erased. If James wanted me at his wedding, I'd go, but not the way he expected. Enter Daniel Torres. Daniel was my bodyguard, though that term seems ridiculous given that I had nothing worth stealing and no one threatening me. But 3 months into my post-divorce life, living in my small apartment in a neighborhood that wasn't exactly safe, I'd had a break-in. Nothing was taken because I had nothing valuable, but it had terrified me. My lawyer, the only one who'd taken my case pro bono because she believed me, had a brother who owned a private security firm. She'd arranged for Daniel to check my apartment's security. Just a one-time consultation, she'd said. Consider it a favor. Daniel had shown up, assessed everything, and installed better locks free of charge. You shouldn't be alone here, he'd said. Not without proper security. I can't afford security, I'd replied honestly. Then consider me a volunteer. I'd laughed, thinking he was joking. He wasn't. Daniel started showing up, not every day, but regularly. He'd check my locks, walk me to my car after late shifts at the bookstore, sit in his truck outside my apartment on nights when I was particularly anxious. You don't have to do this, I'd told him more than once. I'm not paying you. I can't pay you. I'm not asking you to, he'd reply. Then why? He'd looked at me with those steady dark eyes and said, because everyone deserves to feel safe. And right now, you don't. Over weeks, then months, Daniel became more than security. He became a friend, the only person in my new life who treated me like I mattered. He was 38, former Army, quiet and competent in a way that made you feel secure just by his presence. He didn't talk much, but when he did, he was thoughtful, intelligent, kind. And he never, not once, made me feel like I was a burden or a charity case. The night the wedding invitation arrived, Daniel was doing his routine check of my apartment. I was sitting at my tiny kitchen table, staring at the ivory cardstock. You okay? He asked, noticing my expression. I handed him the invitation without a word. He read it. His jaw tightened. He invited you to his wedding. Not just invited. He wants me there. To show off. To humiliate me. Daniel set the invitation down carefully like it might explode. You're not going. I am. Elena. I'm going, Daniel. I'm going to walk into that church and show him that he didn't break me. That I'm not the pathetic, discarded ex-wife he wants everyone to see. How are you going to do that? I looked up at him. I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. Daniel was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something that changed everything. Go with me. I blinked. What? Go with me. To the wedding. Not as your bodyguard. As your date. My heart stuttered. Daniel, I can't ask you to... You're not asking. I'm offering. He wants to humiliate you by showing off his upgrade? Let him see that you've upgraded too. Let him see that you're not alone and broken. Let him see that someone values you. But we're not together. Doesn't matter. He doesn't know that. His family doesn't know that. All they'll see is that you moved on, that you're not pining for him, that maybe you're actually better off without him. I stared at Daniel, and for the first time since the divorce, I felt something other than despair. I felt hope. Are you sure? I asked. I'm sure. Why would you do this for me? Daniel's expression softened. Because I've watched you for 3 months. I've seen you work 2 jobs to make rent. I've seen you cry when you think no one's watching. I've seen you put on a brave face when you pick up your daughter for your limited visitation days, and I've never once seen you be anything less than dignified. He paused. James Harrison is a fool, and I'd be honored to walk into that church with you and show him exactly what he gave up. Chapter 2, The Wedding. When dignity becomes the best revenge. I had 6 weeks to prepare for the wedding. 6 weeks to transform from the broken, poor ex-wife into something else. The first problem was the dress. You can't walk into your ex-husband's wedding in anything less than spectacular. But I had $87 in my checking account. Daniel solved that problem too. My sister owns a boutique, he said. She does custom work. Let me talk to her. Daniel, I can't afford. Just talk to her. Daniel's sister Maria was a force of nature. She took one look at me, heard the story, and said, "We're making you look like a goddamn queen." She designed a dress that was simple, but stunning. Red, because I was done fading into the background. Elegant, fitted, sophisticated. Nothing flashy, nothing desperate, just powerful. "You're going to walk in there," Maria said as she fitted the dress, "and every woman is going to want to be you, and every man is going to wonder how James was stupid enough to let you go." The other thing that changed in those 6 weeks was my relationship with Daniel. It started as him helping me prepare for the wedding, teaching me to stand tall, walk with confidence, hold my head high. But somewhere in there, it became something else. It became late-night conversations about our lives, about his time in the army, losing friends, coming home different, about my marriage, the slow erosion of my self-worth, the shock of starting over at 42. It became comfortable silences, shared meals, his hand on the small of my back when we practiced walking together, and the way my heart would race at the simple contact. It became me realizing that I was falling for my bodyguard, and the terrifying suspicion that maybe he was falling for me too. The night before the wedding, Daniel came to my apartment. "Tomorrow's the day," he said. "How are you feeling?" "Terrified. What if I fall apart? What if seeing him with her breaks me? What if I can't hold it together?" Daniel took my hands. "Then I'll hold you together. That's why I'm there. Not just for show. I'm there to make sure you're okay, to catch you if you fall, to remind you that you're stronger than you think." "Why are you doing this?" I asked. "Really? Why do you care so much?" He was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Because from the moment I met you, I saw someone who deserved better than what life gave her, someone who'd been told she wasn't enough for so long that she believed it. And I wanted to show you that whoever told you that was lying." "Daniel, you don't have to say anything. I'm not asking for anything. Tomorrow we walk in there together, we show your ex-husband that you're thriving, and then we walk out. That's it. That's all this has to be." But the way he was looking at me suggested he wanted it to be more. And God help me, so did I. And the wedding was at one of Boston's most prestigious churches. Of course it was. James Harrison only did things that impressed people. Daniel picked me up in a suit that made him look like he'd stepped out of a magazine. His truck had been replaced with a borrowed Mercedes, courtesy of his security firm's owner, who'd heard the story and wanted to help. "You look..." Daniel trailed off when he saw me in the red dress. "I look okay? You look like the woman James Harrison never deserved." We arrived exactly on time. Not early, not late. Perfect timing for maximum impact. The church was filled with Boston's elite, the same people who'd watched my divorce with popcorn and judgment, the same people who'd gossiped about my fall from grace. As Daniel and I walked up the church steps, I saw the whispers start, saw people recognize me, then look at Daniel, then look at me again with confusion, and was that envy? James's mother was in the vestibule. Her face when she saw me was priceless. Shock, then rage, then forced politeness. "Elena, how unexpected. We didn't think you'd actually come. Wouldn't miss it for the world, Patricia." I smiled warmly. "This is Daniel Torres. Daniel, this is James's mother, Patricia Harrison." Daniel shook her hand with perfect courtesy. "A pleasure, Mrs. Harrison." Patricia's eyes raked over him, taking in the suit, the military bearing, the way his hand rested protectively on my lower back. "I didn't realize you were seeing someone." "There's a lot about my life you don't realize, Patricia." I kept my smile in place. "Shall we find our seats?" We walked into the church, and I felt every eye turn to us. Let them look. The ceremony was exactly what I expected. Lavish, performative, designed to impress. Vanessa looked beautiful in a dress that probably cost more than I made in a year. James looked triumphant, until he saw me. I watched the exact moment his eyes found me in the congregation. Watched shock flash across his face. Watched him look at Daniel, then back at me, then at Daniel again. I didn't smile, didn't gloat, just held his gaze with calm confidence. And then I looked away, because he didn't deserve even that much of my attention. The reception was at the Harrison family estate. I almost didn't go. The invitation had been to the ceremony only. But Daniel convinced me. "In for a penny, in for a pound," he said. "Let's finish this." At the reception, we danced. Not dramatically, not provocatively, Just a simple, elegant dance that showed we were comfortable together, that there was something real between us. People watched, people whispered, and James watched most of all. He cornered me near the bar while Daniel was getting us drinks. "Elena, I'm surprised you came. Are you? You invited me. I didn't think you'd actually show. And I certainly didn't expect him." James nodded toward Daniel. "Daniel is wonderful. You'd like him if you got to know him. Though I doubt you will. How long have you been seeing him? Does it matter? I'm just surprised. You moved on so quickly." I laughed. Genuinely laughed. "James, you moved on 3 years before our divorce was final. You don't get to judge my timeline." His face reddened. "I just think, I don't care what you think." My voice was calm, quiet, but firm. "I came here today because you invited me, thinking you'd humiliate me, thinking you'd show everyone how much better your life is without me. And maybe your life is better. Maybe Vanessa is everything I wasn't. Younger, prettier, more successful." I stepped closer. "But you know what I realized? I don't care. Because my life is better without you too. I'm not living in a mansion, but I'm living honestly. I'm not married to a successful man, but I'm not married to a cruel one either. I don't have your family's approval, but I have my self-respect. Elena, no. You had 15 years to listen to me. Now you're done. Enjoy your wedding, James. Enjoy your new wife. I genuinely hope you'll be happy, but whether you are or not, it's no longer my concern." I walked away, and I didn't look back. The Daniel was waiting for me. "You okay?" "I'm perfect. Let's go home." As we walked toward the exit, I felt lighter than I had in years, like I'd been carrying a weight I didn't even know was there, and I'd finally put it down. "You were magnificent," Daniel said as we drove away. "I felt magnificent," I admitted. "For the first time in so long, I felt like myself again. You were always yourself. You just forgot for a while." We drove in comfortable silence, and then I asked the question that had been building all evening. "Daniel, this thing between us, what is it?" He pulled the car over, looked at me with those steady eyes. "What do you want it to be?" "I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for another relationship. I don't know if I even know how to be in one that's healthy. That's okay. We'll figure it out together. No rush, no pressure, just possibility." "Possibility," I repeated. "I like that." He leaned across and kissed me. Gentle, sweet, full of promise. When we broke apart, I was crying. "What's wrong?" Daniel asked, concerned. "Nothing's wrong. For the first time in years, everything's right." Or, epilogue. 6 months later, James and Vanessa divorced 14 months after their wedding. Apparently, she started an affair with their marriage counselor. Karma is poetic like that. I heard about it through my daughter Madison, who'd started spending more time with me now that she was old enough to choose. "Dad's really upset," she told me. "He keeps saying he can't believe she did this to him." I didn't say what I was thinking, that people who cheat with you will cheat on you. That's not a lesson a daughter needs to hear from her mother. Instead, I just hugged her and said, "I'm sorry he's hurting." And I meant it. I didn't wish James pain. I just didn't care enough anymore to be invested in it. As for Daniel and me, we took it slow, dated properly, built something real based on honesty and respect and genuine affection. 6 months after the wedding, he moved into my small apartment. It was cramped and nothing like the mansion I used to live in, but it was ours. And it was full of laughter and safety and love. Madison adores him. He teaches her self-defense and helps with her homework and never tries to replace her father. Just be someone she can count on. Last week, Daniel proposed. Nothing fancy. We were hiking and he just stopped and said, "I want to spend my life making sure you never forget how valuable you are. Will you marry me?" I said yes. This time, the wedding will be small. Just the people who matter. Just the people who saw me at my worst and loved me anyway. No performance, no proving anything. Just celebration. Arstiavabara, people sometimes ask me, "Do you regret going to James's wedding? Wasn't it humiliating to be invited like that?" And I tell them, going to that wedding was the best decision I ever made. Not because of how it looked to everyone else, but because it forced me to see myself differently. To stop being the victim in my own story. To realize I could rebuild. That I could be happy again. That I could be loved, really loved, by someone who saw my worth. James invited me to disgrace me, to parade his upgrade, but what he actually did was show me that I'd upgraded too. I went from being the wife of a cruel man to being the partner of a kind one. I went from living in a mansion I hated to living in a small apartment I love. I went from having everything and feeling empty to having less and feeling full. That day, walking into the church in my red dress, holding Daniel's hand, I didn't speak revenge. I didn't need to. My presence, my confidence, my dignity, that was revenge enough. And the best part? It wasn't even about James anymore. It was about me, reclaiming myself, remembering my worth, refusing to be diminished by someone else's cruelty. James tried to write the ending to my story. He tried to make me the pathetic ex-wife who faded into obscurity. But I wrote a different ending. And in my ending, I'm not the woman who was left behind. I'm the woman who walked away and found something better.